today I wanted to talk about something that was really on my mind for a little bit, and it was politicians and the promises that they make. Lots of politicians talk about, the whole promises made, promises kept sort of meme, and I was thinking about it, and I wanted to know, how many promises that they make do politicians actually keep, in full or in part? And the information that I found on this was actually really interesting to me, honestly. So here's this article I found by 538, and it's "Trust Us, Politicians Keep Most of Their Promises." Regardless of what happens between now and the GOP convention, there's little doubt that Donald Trump has undermined, mind you, this article came out in 2016, undermine our understanding of primary politics. Right, I think Trump, for a lot of people, shook things up really hard in the way that in the way that a lot of people, especially in the establishment, don't like. I feel like we're getting way more extreme candidates getting up, honestly, like Trump, like Bernie, like honestly, like Warren, and things are really changing, moving a little bit faster than a lot of people would like. I think it sometimes can be good, and I feel like a lot of times it could be bad. I mean, we could look around the world to see new governments that are cropping up. Some pretty far left, sadly, way too many, way too far right. And I found this here, right? And this is publications of a study that goes over how many promises were made by political campaigns that actually kept once they were in the office, right? And it goes from 1968 to 2004, and we can see like the share of promises kept is actually 72%, 80%. It was a 69%. The lowest ever was here in 1996, and it was a study between the 80s and the late 80s at 52%. This was the lowest actually. 73 for an average of 79%. And to visualize this, here's what I wanted to see. Right, I put this into a chart so we all could kind of look at this. Can I turn this into dark mode? A little bit. No, we'll not do that. It makes everything dark. Yeah, well, I expected lower too. It's honestly really amazing. Now, mind you, this is promises kept in full or in part. Right? So it's not just like when they get in, they get, 70, 80% of what they do in full, but it's at least in part, or they move towards it in a way that's genuinely meaningful and kept true to the promise that they made originally. Right? And to just visualize it, honestly, what was also real. So I guess politics work. We did it. We fixed politics, boys. We did it. It's happened. We don't have to worry about anything else. No. But, back from 1968, we can see it moved up all the way to 80%. The thing that was really interesting to me, though, is that over time, as it progressed, on average, it's actually been moving down in a way that I honestly did not really expect. And then it pops back up to 73. Now, mind you, we don't only have information up to 2004 back in the Bush administration. So this doesn't include the Obama administration. This honestly doesn't include the last of the Bush administration, the totality of the Obama administration, and the first 4 years, and hopefully the last 4 years of the Trump administration. So I'd like to see where it is there. I would imagine it's probably a little bit lower than 73, just due to how our politics has become way more polarized as time has moved on. It's become way harder for politicians to get what they want done. That just sounds like pretty understandable to me. But what I wanted to think about when I was going over these numbers is that politicians, we have the major perception that our politics just aren't working in this country, right? And I was thinking, is that just us, or is it something else that we need to look at? And I was thinking, and obviously when things that you really wanted to get past don't get past, that sticks way harder with you than things that you did want to get past and then did get past, so you won't have to think about them anymore. When you think about what you like, us as humans, we think a lot about what could have been, more than we think about what we do have already, you know? And that just sounds pretty simple to me, right? But I don't think the problem is our politicians aren't doing anything, because obviously, by how we see, they're keeping their promises. By any reasonable stretch of the imagination, I would imagine if you made 10 promises, and you keep 7 of them and you lose 3 of them, I mean, that's pretty positive, honestly. I don't think anybody else can argue with that, you know? But I feel like the problem isn't really that they're not keeping their promises. I feel like they're the wrong promises. And with a country that has such an abysmal a voter turnout as America does, like about last place for our sister nations, like major developed first world nations, it shows a lot about how our politics has sort of eroded away into something that's pretty meaningless, or something that's not worth engaging in to the vast majority of people. What's really surprising to me is how the promises made are so high. Well, the promises kept are so high, but the problems in this country still persist, right? So I'm thinking it's not the promises not being kept, it's the wrong promises that are being made in the king. I feel like our politicians really just aren't working on the right things to really make the country better. And that's why I really feel we need politicians like Bernie. We need politicians like AOC to help push the country in a better direction. Even if we don't get everything that we can help the slow slide of this, honestly, what I believe is a shining city on a hill. I think that we have all of the resources we need to do great. We just need the willpower and the political will and the political might to do it. You know, if the country's stagnating, but the politicians are keeping their promises, then I'm thinking it's the promises to begin with that are the problem. We should start asking more from the people who govern us, and stop letting them get away with pretending that they're doing nothing, because they are. It's just not for us.